It's tier list time, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at patch 2505 so far and checking out who's on top. Kicking it straight off with the top lane, and in the S tier we have Camille, Darius, Aurelia, Kayle, Poppy, Quinn, Riven, Urgot and Warwick. There's also plenty of great picks and very popular ones in the A tier too, like Aatrox and Fiora, as well as one tricky picks like Gangplank, as well as Yasuo, who at higher ranks is having an absolute blast so far this patch. So Aurora has actually moved down from the S tier all the way to the B tier with her nerfs last patch. She was really strong, so we definitely did expect to see those nerfs, as her win rate in both the top lane and the mid lane was just far too high. Plus the fact she was extremely popular and very forgiving to play, because all you needed to do really was just land a big ultimate in a team fight, pop the rest of your abilities and one-shot half the backline. Now she's fallen down to a sub 50% win rate at most ranks, and yeah, she's definitely not quite as OP as she once was. Poppy's changes last patch have had a big impact as well, and now she's back in the S tier in the top lane. Poppy's one of those picks that when you do see her, you quickly realise just how good she can be. She's great at setting up ganks, she's great in duels and dives, and she can also outplay enemy tower dives really easily too. She's got fantastic anti-mobility, disruption, CC, and just brings a lot to offer from the top lane. So give her a go if you haven't already. Quinn has also risen back up to the S tier. Now this one is a bit more situational than some of the other picks in the S tier, but if you get her in the right lane where you can bully those melee matchups, she honestly just feels like Freelo. Not only can you bully lanes to the point where they want to uninstall, but you can also roam and carry the rest of the map too with your ultimate movement speed. So if the draft looks like a good opportunity to play Quinn, give her a go. Moving into the jungle next then, and in the S tier we have Darius, Diana, Kindred, Lee Sin, Master Yi, Nunu, Viego, Warwick and Wukong. In the A tier we have tons of great options too, like Bel'Veth, Echo, Fiddlesticks, Gwen, Hecarim, Jarvan. There is a lot of choice to go for right now. And in the B tier we just have most of the struggling picks who haven't really taken off so far this season, like Kha'Zix, Nidalee and Rammus. Darius is completely and utterly destroying games from the jungle right now though, and it's genuinely surprising that we haven't seen any hotfix nerfs yet. His passive makes him clear ridiculously quickly, and he just gets such a huge lead on experience and gold, and that's without even factoring in his crazy movement speed build, not to mention his damage and how hard he can snowball. So if you haven't already been playing this, abuse it while you can. The changes and nerfs to Elise last patch have definitely made a difference though, as she falls down from the S tier to the A tier. She still is a great snowballing skirmishing jungler, and if you do get fed you can carry pretty damn hard, but she isn't as broken as she was last patch. Skarner is one of the champions that has been incredibly difficult for Riot to balance because of how popular he is in pro play and high elo. And now unfortunately he's been nerfed into the ground, as he has one of the worst win rates and worst pick rates in the entire game at every single rank. So much so that we've actually moved him down from the B tier now into the C tier, completely off screen. Let's see what Riot have store in Skarner over the next few patches, but for now it's probably one jungler you'll want to avoid. In the mid lane next then, and in the S tier we have Ahri, Akshan, Cassiopeia, Diana, Echo, Galio, Syndra, Vex, Victor, Vladimir, Yasuo and Zed. Lots of strong choices in the S tier this patch, with plenty of options depending on your drafts and matchups. But there's also a lot of underrated picks in the A tier too, like Anivia, Aurelion Sol, Katarina and even Annie, who's really popped back up into popularity recently with some pretty crazy stats. Yasuo though is having the time of his life at the moment in this patch and over recent weeks. He's got some crazy win rates in the mid lane, top lane and even the bot lane too. So if you are good enough to play him, this is the perfect time to whip him back out again. Zed's buffs last patch have also brought him straight back up there with the big guns. He's always been popular, and for some reason he's also always had a pretty high ban rate, but now that ban rate has shot up to around 25%, and it's not too hard to understand why. There are so many good Zed players in this game, and there's so many different matchups and drafts where he just absolutely pops off in. He's still one of the most popular mid laners in the game, and his stats right now are much better than they have been recently, which is why we've got him in the S tier. Echo is another one that's also moved up to the S tier in the mid lane this patch, as assassins start to creep back up into the scene again. We're gradually getting more and more nerfs for picks like Victor, Hui and control mages, so these assassins are creeping their way back in again. Echo is all about dashing into backlines, one-shotting carries and then ulting back out to safety, or kiting and diving and weaving in and out around their ultimate and using it for its damage instead. Once you get the hang of Echo, the damage you can deal is absolutely insane, and it feels really good while you're doing it, so give him a try. Onto the bot lane next, and for AD carries in the S tier we have Jinx, Kog'Maw, Misfortune, Nilah, Tristana and Yasuo. You heard that correctly, Yasuo's stats in the bot lane are simply too high to ignore this patch. The A tier is jam-packed full of other AD carry options too, like Ashe, Caitlyn, Corki, Draven, Ezreal and Jhin, as well as a few mages in Karthus and Swain. Aphelios' buffs last patch have brought him back up above a 50% win rate, which is the first time in so long now. He's a pretty tricky champion to learn, but once you get the hang of him and learn which weapons you should use in which kind of situations, you quickly realise just how strong he can be in the right moments. Plus, if you do actually learn him, you'll finally realise how to play against him. Because if we're honest, most of us players just sit there scratching our heads every time we play against it. Ashe's nerfs to her ultimate last patch have made a bit of a difference too. She had a couple of weeks in the S tier and now she's back down to the A tier. That's not to say she's still not an amazing option though. In the right games, she's just not quite as consistently strong as she was last patch. She's still a pretty safe option. She's got utility and range and of course CC, which not too many AD carries have, so it does make her a great fit into most team comps aside from those really tricky lanes. Tristana has been absolutely popping off as well recently, and she's been in the S tier for the last few patches now, just winning an absolute ton of games in all sorts of ranks. She's an explosive, dueling, stomping, snowballing AD carry that can really get ahead in the early game, but she also scales insanely hard with that passive extra range too. She's one of those AD carries we really haven't seen too much of recently, so it's nice to see her back in the spotlight. Finally, let's have a look at supports then, and in the S tier we have Braum, Janna, Karma, Lulu, Nami, Poppy, Rel, Soraka and Thresh. These are just the best of the bunch, but to be honest, you just have so much choice in this role. I mean, if you look at the A tier, you've got Alistair, Bard, Leona, Maokai, Melio, Nautilus is back up there with some of the most popular supports in the game. You've got Pyke if you're a one-trick. There really is a lot of options. So don't get put off by those S tier picks and just play what you fancy if it's working for you. One champion that's now in the S tier that hasn't been for quite some time is Soraka. And when you look at her stats across every single rank until you get to really high elo, she's just winning an absolutely insane amount of games right now. She has already been pretty impressive statistically for quite a while, but not quite in that top tier. But now she's back, she's popping off, she's healing, she's sustaining, she's running around like an ambulance, and she's proving that she's just simply not to be underestimated. Karma is also an S tier pick this patch, and she has been for quite a while now. She's one of the best 2v2 supports in the game as she just offers everything you need. She's got shields and damage and poke and CC, a bit of self-sustain, she's got utility for days, and she just works with so many different AD carries and into so many different lanes. So if you want a support to just insta-lock every single game, you can't really go wrong with Karma. Finally though, we have one more champion to talk about in this video, and that's going to be Nami, who's simply one of the best supports and enchanters and picks in the game. Her stats have been insanely impressive all season, at every single rank in every single region, and this doesn't really look like it's going to slow down anytime soon. So if you're looking for a versatile support to main, just play Nami. And that brings us to the end of our patch 2505 or 15.5 Act 2 tier list update video. Don't forget to click the link below to see the tier list in full for yourself, and we'll catch you all in the next one. Take care.